a huge mess on my desk because I pulled out 49 and Market um, Flower Emporium, and I'm using it for the first time, and there's so much to choose from. Oh my goodness. So I'm super excited, y'all, to be joining Crystal and all of the girls on the May I Scraplift You hop. It's a hop where videos come out, I believe, every second Saturday of the month, and this is my first time. I'm super excited, and I found a layout that I loved on Instagram, and it is by Jackie Scraps on Instagram, and her name is Jackie Ashton. And I'm so excited to play with this. I always love to add a little bit of stamping and some texture to a layout, and this kind of caught my eye. So here's the sketch. I am sorry about that. I'm going to be using these strips from Flower Emporium, and I loved the use of the tags and this round element here. Super excited. So I will kind of come back to this later as we start to build this layout. And I'm going to be scrapping these two photos. This is my mom and my brother on Mother's Day. I live in North Carolina, they live in Illinois, and so I did get to FaceTime with her while he was there visiting, and they sent me these photos. So I am going to document Mother's Day of my mom, and these are some of the papers I picked out for the strips. Not sure if I'm going to use all of them, some of them fronts and backs, but I wanted to bring in somewhat of a neutral color, so I thought this color would be good. This is from the Staples paper pack. It's number 5, and it's this cream on the back. This is the green in that same print with the lime green, or that same pack, sorry. I have this one here and this yellow, and I may use both sides. I'm not sure. This is from the paper pad, so there's no name on it. I think the rest of these are from the paper pad. There's this pink, and then I will not be using this side. I'll be definitely using the pink. And then we have this lighter blue, and then the stripe, which I will most likely be using the stripe so I can kind of tie everything in. And I may end up feeling like I need to pull in other papers, but this is what I decided to choose from. And you guys, there's so much in this collection. It's insane. Like, it literally was really hard to go through all of this, but we have to start somewhere, right? And I'm excited to be digging in. And I guess the fearful part of using this is you can't get any more because it's sold out almost everywhere. But I do believe that my little scrapbook store still has some left in the store. So if you are in search of this collection, I will leave a link below. And yeah, let me clear off my desk space here, and we will get started. Let's see, where am I going to put all this? We'll get started and see what we can create. I am going to just do this on a white background because we're going to be adding some splatters and some stamping as well. Let's see if I can keep this kind of up in my corner. Sorry about my camera. Sometimes it just wants to go wonky on me. So yeah, so I'm going to probably put you on fast forward and voice over the rest of this so that it's not super long, but I hope you enjoy the process. Alright guys, I am going to now cut all of these strips into kind of varying sizes, anywhere between 1 inch and like 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and tear some of them as well. I do use some of the branding strips as well. I love that we have full branding strips with all of these papers. Even the ones in the paper pad have a full branding strip, and they're all super usable. So while I am cutting these strips, I want to take the opportunity to let you know that in the description box below, I will have the links of all of the girls participating in the hop and links to their YouTube channels. So definitely go and watch them and give them some love. Because it's fun. It's fun to get some likes on your videos and to introduce some of you to maybe some new scrapbookers, YouTubers that maybe you don't follow already. So I've got my strips arranged kind of how I want them, and I'm tearing some of the edges or some of them down the edge. And this just adds just a little bit of interest and texture to the page. You also could have, I was thinking I could have inked these to add a little texture, but I didn't really want to add that much. So adding the little tearing and the little details with kind of snipping the tops or the bottoms at an angle, I think is a really fun idea. And that is something I learned from Jackie's layout. So I'm going to finish all of that up, and then I'm going to start tacking the strips at the top. And as you can see, I've got them kind of staggered a little bit at the top, and then we're going to have them staggered as well at the bottom. And you guys, if you have not seen this collection, it's so beautiful. The colors are amazing, and the paper pad, you do get 2 of each design, so you get so much to choose from. I am going to be smart and use my T-square ruler, because if I don't, it will most definitely be crooked. And this is something I really wanted to get straight, because if this isn't straight, then the whole thing's going to look a little bit off. So I use the T-square ruler just on the first strip, and then I can kind of follow along with the rest of the strips for to be straight for that. And then I also wanted, you saw me bring my photo in earlier, and it was important for me that the width of all the strips put together, that width would hold both of my photos. I didn't want my photos like coming off of the edge. I wanted it all to be contained within those strips, because we are going to be adding the splatters and some stamping around the edges of all of these. And I think what happened here is I ended up not quite having enough strips, so I did add a couple branding strips at the end. So now I'm going to go in and tacking them at the top really helped me to know where to cut them at the bottom, instead of just willy-nilly cutting them and just trying to place them. Doing it this way, I felt really worked out. And it also allows me to be able to see if I want to tuck anything behind the strips before I glue them down. I love this rub-on of the florals, and I considered using it, but I felt like with my embellishing, I was going to end up covering it up anyway, and if I'm going to use that, I don't want it covered up. On the left side there, I'm using a laser cut, and it's kind of like a doily edge. It's super pretty. It's a 12 by 12, or it's a 12-inch strip. I ended up cutting it in half. And then I go into these other rub-ons, and I find this kind of pink color one with a newspaper print, and I decide to use that on one side. And you'll notice I am going to trim it off a little bit, because there's a little piece that's just going to be tucked under, and I really feel like I could use that somewhere else. You saw that paper with all of the circle patterns on it. I did cut out one of those circles, and I'm thinking I might use that on the layout. I found another rub-on. This one is kind of the craft color with some blue and some black polka dots. And again, I cut that one in half as well, because I will certainly be able to use the other piece on something else. And I'm just taking my little tiny attacher to staple those together so that the release paper does not get lost, and then the rub-on ends up rubbing off on something. So we'll get these rubbed down, and then we'll get started with embellishing. I love these rub-ons. They go on like butter. They are just awesome. Probably the best rub-ons that I've ever used are from 49 Market, for sure. Let's see. I do end up flipping my layout. So that craft strip is going to end up being on the left, and then the one I'm rubbing down now is going to be on the right. So, yeah. But this was such a fun layout to Scraplift. Please go check out Jackie's Instagram and her YouTube channel. I will leave those links below as well. I have a few other of her layouts saved that I want to Scraplift in the future. I really love her style, and this layout in particular, I love that it brings in so many different patterns and textures between the strips and the tearing and the splatters and the stamping. So well thought out. I love it. We're going to get all of these glued down and finally get moved on here. All right. Also, guys, I told you I left a link for anything that's available at my little scrapbook store below. If you've not shopped there before, I do have a code you can use. It's TISAREF, and that will save you 10% on your first order. So check that out too if you would like. Here I'm going to trim up my photos. I decided to cut them apart. I wasn't sure if I wanted to just do it as one 4x6, but I like the idea of layering the photos a little bit, so I'm using my very favorite little guillotine trimmer that I use mostly 100% for trimming my photos. If I'm doing any backing of my photos, I almost always just use my scissors. Here's that little circle, and Jackie has a circular element in her layout, and I was trying to emulate that. As you can see, it's really like fading into those strips. So I'm not going to end up using those, and I love what I choose to use instead. I also cut apart all of the tags that were on one of the 12x12 sheets, and now I'm just going through the tags to try to pick out one or two that I can use coming out from above the photo, because that is what is on the inspiration layout, and I really liked that. So I chose the blue one, mostly because there isn't a lot of blue in the strips and it makes it pop out a little bit better. And then I chose this one from the laser cuts, and I loved it because it had like the little laser cut strings, and I just liked that idea. Jackie's layout, she used a lot of like twine or whatever on her tags, and quite honestly, I was just too lazy to go dig out my twine, so when I found that laser cut, it worked out perfectly. I've got happy there at the top, and that's where she has her title, but I feel like it's crowding the photo too much. If I had had more like empty space at the top of the photo, I think it would have worked, but because the photo is so full at the top, I end up moving that. Actually, I'm going to end up changing the title altogether, but my first embellishment cluster, I wanted to have something to ground the embellishment cluster, which is often what I will do, and I use the frame, and the use of the frame still allows the rub-on to still poke through, and I really love how that looks. So that's going to be my first cluster down there, and I'm going to end up taking it away here soon because we've got to do all of our splatters and everything, and I need to take that away before I do that. But I often will play around with my embellishment clusters and then take them off and then bring them back on and glue them on. That's usually my process. And here we go. First, oh yeah, maybe, am I going to use? No, this is where we're going to back our photos and then do our splatters, and then we'll go back to the embellishing. I chose this pink paper. It is from the paper pad. I think on the back of this might be the like floral receipts and stuff like that. So I'm leaving a just very thin pink layer because I really did not want the photos to be too heavy on top of all of those pattern paper strips. We already have enough paper going on this layout, so I didn't feel like I needed a really large mat on the photo. And then in the inspiration piece, she has kind of a pattern paper, but it's a tone on tone. It's more of a craft color on hers. And I'm sorry that you don't see it. And I have to have to learn how to post the picture of her layout in the corner of my video. I don't know how to do that, so I need to figure that out. I decided to go with this text and this text print. I kind of auditioned two different ones. Here's the other kind of cream tone on tone I'm thinking about. But what I like about the text is I like the black in it. I feel like it pops, but it doesn't distract. So I'm going to cut off probably about 4 inches. It's about 4 inches wide. And then, like you can see, I tore it at the bottom. And we're just going to layer that behind the photos. And it ends up being the perfect spot for my title. So I like how that worked out. Now I got to figure out splatters. I was thinking, should I do black? What color should I do? So I was sampling some colors out, and I felt like black was too much. I tried a brighter pink. It might have been picked raspberry, too bright. And then I found Quiche Flamingo. It's the Distress Oxide Spray. And I really liked that. And what I liked is kind of sopping it up with the paper towel right away, because then it makes it even a little bit lighter. I didn't want that text print to be completely behind my photos because I didn't want all of my strips to be covered up, but I do like the little base it gives the photos. There's what I brought in. This is what Jackie used in her corner, and I used this really cool black distressed paper from Bo Bunny. It's from their newer collection, and I absolutely love it because it's not like a dark black. It's from the Bo Bunny Colorful Story collection. And just used my Tim Holtz die and cut out that viewfinder. And now I'm just going to build my embellishment clusters with the florals from the embellishment pack of Flower Emporium. And then add these cute little butterfly rub-ons that I absolutely love. They're so cute. I love the size of these because they're just the perfect size to kind of scatter around. Once I get all the embellishments placed down, glued down, then I'm going to come back with my stamps. And I'm going to stamp in the Quiche Flamingo again. And I'll let you know what I stamp on there. Right now, I'm looking for a little bow that I can put on that love tag, because I did find a cute little bow to put on that blue tag at the top in the, not the ephemera, in the laser cuts, but they just didn't really work out, so I just decided to let that go. So I got 3 different stamps that I'm stamping. These are just stamps, old stamps for my stash. One says love this, one says sweet, and one says together we make a family. And these, like I said earlier, are photos of my mom and my brother on Mother's Day, so I thought those stamps were perfect. And I stamped and then did second generation stamping with those. I'm pulling out all of my word things, trying to find a title, because titles are my hardest thing ever. So I'm going through the Vicki Boutin titles, and then I found this title set from Coco Vanilla, and it had the word lovely in it. And then I took the word day from today on this very old, I don't even remember the brand of it. See, it says today, and I just took the day. And I often will do that with my titles, is just kind of break things apart. and I'm adding the little pink heart at the bottom, and that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. Be sure to check out the links below, like this video, and leave a comment if you would like. I would love to hear from you, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.